Good morning, everyone. What's going on? All right, man. Beautiful day. Beautiful day to wake up and be safe. Not worrying about drugs no more. Now I just got me to deal with. That's a fun one. Um, Look, guys, I am going to be in Nehemiah today. Uh, Going old school because the what really drew me to it initially was uh, the story of the Israelites walking out consequences and God redeeming them and following through with the prophecies of them returning home and having to rebuild. I don't know if you guys know anything about rebuilding your life, but it kind of struck home. So uh, before we get started here, let me go ahead and start with some prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, Lord, Lord, we love you. Lord, we do thank you for these new beginnings, Lord. And Lord, I just pray that uh, this message reaches someone's heart, Lord, and I just pray that you just hide me behind the cross and just let what it is you would like to come out, Lord. In Mr. Precious name, I pray, amen. All right, so like any good Bible study, before you get into the Word, you got to get a little history lesson in, right? All right, so we just kind of chop you guys up in the story. And this time period, what has already happened is the Babylonians coming through and destroying Jerusalem, burn it to the ground, tore the temple down, the whole thing, right? Then they're exiled, and while they're in exile, the Persians come through and beat up the Assyrians. So here we are. Um, so the story of Nehemiah is our current Bibles actually split them up, but it used to be Ezra and Nehemiah was all one story because there's three pieces to it. There's three main characters, and it starts with King Cyrus of the Persians sends Zerubbabel and a bunch of the exiles back to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. Then some 50 years later, he sends Ezra to come in and start teaching the Torah and bringing Jewish culture back to Jerusalem. And then that brings us to Nehemiah, who the Lord put it on his heart to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. So Nehemiah was a cupbearer, meaning that he was in close proximity to the king of Persia at the time. That was Artaxerxes, and that was a highly trusted position. Because the king had to trust him that he wouldn't poison him, because that's what he was there for, to test the food, make sure it wasn't poisoned. So Nehemiah gets it on his heart that he's going to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, and and then he goes to the king. He prays about it. Goes to the king. The king says, "You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it." And that too is a big deal too. Is I kind of like read straight through it, then I started reading like some commentary on it, and how that really goes is it's like that's kind of a dangerous move for the king to be like, "Hey, go back to where you're from and fortify it," right? Because like there's a chance he could just go there, rebuild the fort, and just be like, "I'm not coming back. Here's what we're doing now. I'm just going to rebel completely." And he didn't do that. But what he does ask of the king, he says, "I'm going to need some resources. I'm going to need your help to get this whole thing going." So the king gives him an armed escort, which was another thing that kind of struck me as funny. Like he needed an armed escort. Well, come to find out, like the journey from where he was back to Jerusalem was going to be 3 to 4 months, and it was dangerous because people would just see him and be like, "You know what? No, like you're not going back and rebuilding nothing." So another cool little fun fact for you. The king at the time, Artaxerxes, his stepmom was Esther. So I was like, man, that's really kind of cool that maybe, that it's just how God lines it all up, right? Like, she already had his ear and was kind of like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I thought that was really cool. moving on. So, all right, so he gets the escort, he gets there, and in Jerusalem, there are these guys, and they're the governors of the current provinces, and is dangerous. You know, Nehemiah had to sneak out at night to even like start formulating a plan of how to do this. And another thing that's really kind of hit home for me was like, um, there was a lot of work to be done before the work could be done, right? So I don't know if we got any construction people in here, but you know, he had to tear out all the rubble first before he could even get started on this huge plan that the Lord put on his heart. And I was like, man, like that hits home. That hits home big time. Like you gotta get down to the foundations, and sometimes just rebuild the foundations themselves. So, you know, it's just like that. It's just the fundamentals, man. You gotta strip it all down before you can restart. All right, so another cool thing that that I was reading too is this. You know how God's plan is always going to be executed on, no matter what your circumstances are. You know, and it was a cool thought. It was like, you know, just into this time period, um, God had Israelites in leadership everywhere. You know, you have Joseph, you have Daniel, you have Esther. You know, like God's putting all this stuff into play for you. You know, all you got to do is just execute. And even if you don't, that's okay. He'll work around that too. Which I always thought that was kind of funny. Like whether you want to or not, like that's what's going down. Like God's going to execute. So he gets there. They start. They start the building, and then this opposition comes, and I don't really know why, or like the way it describes it, right? They just kind of like taunt them a little bit, right? Like, what are you guys doing? Like what you're building, a fox could knock it over. You know what I mean? Like this whole thing. But it winds up. It says here in Nehemiah 4 that after they're taunted, that they're demoralized. And Nehemiah just goes straight back to like how you're supposed to handle it. He prays about it and says, Lord, just return the reproach on their own heads and give them up for plunder in a land of captivity. Do not forgive their iniquities and do not let their sins be blotted out before you. They demoralize the builders. So he goes right back to the Lord, like, hey man, like this is what we're doing. Everyone's hating on us, but the work continues. And this is not the first instance of that. Like as we keep going through, there's just roadblocks along the way. And so what they started doing was they built the wall at half height and just kept it moving. You know, like they're filling in these huge gaps. Like even if it's not to the height that we want it, you know, we're at least going to get it done. And I was like, man, it just feels like here sometimes, you know. It really does. Like, look, man, like we're just going to get it done. We're just going to get it done because I know we have to. If we keep this up, keep playing with the enemy, like we already know what it is. So here they are rebuilding enemy territory. They got the king's blessing, but people are hating on them. So what happens is after these threats, they basically cut their workforce in half and make half of them an armed guard. And the laborers, they have them like hold spears and bows at night. And it's like, man, like no matter what the opposition says, like they're getting this done, no matter what. And so then, like, it was really cool, man, because like I'd never really thought of it like this. Then it goes into chapter 5, in this usury. The use of that word is like a overbearing tax, like super high interest loans, because the nobles that were still in the area of Jerusalem, like they said, like they really weren't helping, right? Because they're going to be playing both sides of the fence here. Like they're still sticking with the Persians. Um, they're going to keep their money, basically. Like we're not going to get involved. We're just going to keep our money. Um, but people are having to come and they're like, look, if we're going to be building this wall, like we need help with our taxes. We need help with our fields. And they were just getting taxed like crazy. So Nehemiah comes in and has that like, look, guys, like you can't do that. And if we're sticking to the word, Jewish law even says like you don't tax your brother with interest. So he gets rid of that, and I was like, man, that's actually pretty cool, man. Like looking out for the workers, people just executing on God's plans. So we move into chapter 6, and it says that, all right, so like these governors of the provinces, like as they're working on the temple, he's like, hey man, why don't you come down here and talk to me? And like he knew full and well that he was going to kill him if he gets him one-on-one. So he said that they sent messages 4 times in the same manner, and he answered in the same way. So what he was saying was like, come, let us meet together on the plains, but they were planning to harm me. So he sent messages back saying, I'm doing a great work and cannot come down. Why should the work stop? And I really like that. It's like no matter what the opposition says, no, I'm doing great work. I don't have time to come down here and mess with you. Because I think too, like, especially in these first couple rows, like the enemy comes at you like, man, what are you even doing? What are you even doing here? And full and well that's going to be your death. Full and well. And he's like, no, sticks to his guns. Basically tells him like, who are you, bro? Like, I'm out here doing what the Lord asked me to do. Like, don't ask me to come down again. Because even read the same too. It was really cool. He's like the last time that he sent him a message, or the 5th time, he sent it in an open letter, and that was a sign of disrespect. And the threat was like when the letters weren't sealed like that with the signet, it was basically saying that whatever is in this letter is public knowledge, and I'm not even giving you enough respect for this to be a private message. But we're going to tell the king that you're rebelling. We're going to tell on you. I'm telling. And that was a big deal. Like, because if word gets back to the king that, hey, you guys are out here just rebuilding the fort and you're just going to oppose him, like, that make really quick work of you. And, but he sticks to it, man. He sticks to it. And what they did was they basically rebuilt the north end of the wall in a counterclockwise motion, starting that the enemy would be coming from the north. So they fortified what they needed to fortify first. And that felt like here is like, let me just get off these drugs, right? Like, let me just get off these drugs. Then I'll start working on what I need to work on. And luckily we are at a place that's exactly how we operate. Like, congratulations, you're off drugs. Like, here we go. So something that absolutely blew my mind, and this is Nehemiah 6:15. So the wall was completed on the 25th of the month of Elul. Sure. 52 days. 52 days. And I was like, man, isn't that funny how when God's plans come together and people are just actually working towards it, what a massive undertaking that was and how quickly they got it done. And even at half speed too, like I said, they had to like stop and guard it with the spears, and I was like, man, 52 days, that's it. I mean, we cut a tree down 52 days ago, and it's still piled up back there. I'm just playing. No, man. But all right. So I'm just go ahead and chop it up towards the end. Okay. Um, so I guess what I'm really getting at is no matter how much work you put in, no matter how much work you put in, like all this stuff, uh, if your heart's not right, it's just not going to please God, and you're missing the point. You're missing the point altogether. Like, great, you did all this stuff. So basically, how the rest of the book ends up is walls get up, huge celebration. Nehemiah and Ezra, like they get this. I wouldn't call it a revival, but like more like a renewing, right? They get all this stuff dedicated, and then everyone commits to the Torah, and like everyone's like, oh, we're going to get right back to where we should be. Um, then Nehemiah goes around and does a tour of the city, and the temple's in disarray, and there's, it's not being staffed properly, and people are working on the Sabbath, and um, he gets all upset about his wall because people set up shops near it, and you're not supposed to do that, and so he loses his mind. He doesn't lose his mind, but I thought it was funny. So it literally ends with him like punching people and pulling their hair, pulling their hair out, and I was like, what an odd ending. That's so odd, but actually it's not. It's really not. Because I even asked Pastor Chess on this yesterday. I was like, man, what do you think about all this? And he's like, well, it's really simple. Like, the Bible's just about people. He was just a dude. Like, yeah, he got upset, but it was just the humanity that was showing through it. And I was like, yeah, that was it. Because I just ended. I was so confused. I was like, man, I was gonna scrap this whole Devo and start something else. I'm just like, how do you end it like that? Just I punched people and I pulled their hair out, and here we are. No, it was really cool though. Like, it was just cool the way he put it too. He's like, like this book was written so many thousands of years ago, but if it was written today, like who would be in it? And it'd be me and you, and we do stuff like that all the time, all the time. So I just thought it was really neat, man, because like I said, like they did all this stuff, and then just like at the end, he was like, "Well, I don't like the way that turned out." And it was like, man, like you went and built this wall for a sense of permanence, right? Like once the walls are up, like that's a set of it makes everything that they were working towards permanent, because now you have like the protection around you. Like rebuild the wall, cool. Like get your heart right, okay. But the permanence, so the significance of the wall was the permanence of it. Rebuilding Jerusalem and rebuilding the temple the same way that Jeremiah said it would happen, right? Like, and then in the end, you're just like, you know what? I didn't really care for that too much. It's just the human condition, man. But look, guys, don't get caught up in the this is and that's. Just do what the Lord's asked you to do. Like, and only you really know what that is. I love you guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend on the Facebook and YouTube. Love you guys here. I hope you guys have a great weekend too. Mike, you pray me out, buddy.